Now, I've been doing a ton of videos here on the channel where I've talked about the dangers of bodybuilding and some of the things that you need to consider when it comes to getting into a contest prep and getting deeply involved in the sport of bodybuilding. But I want to change the mood just a bit to talk to those of you who are looking to start in a contest prep and you're looking for a coach. And the question always comes out, what should you be looking for in an actual coach? Because if you thought that the world of bodybuilding in and of itself was dangerous and there's like a lot of waters to tread, think about having to hire a coach in a completely unregulated industry. Fitness is completely unregulated. You don't even have to be certified to train anyone. And it's always been like that for years. So it's going to be up to you to make sure you make the right choice when it comes to who you'll hire to get you ready for a show. This could be one of the most important decisions that you make in your health when it comes to your fitness life. The first thing that I think you should look out for is whether or not this person has actual experience as a personal trainer, hands-on in the trenches with clients in the gym. In this post-pandemic world, it is so easy for anyone to set themselves up to be a trainer or a coach. There's no bar of entry anymore. And not that that was so different in the past, but today it is so easy to go ahead and set up a social media profile, put up a couple of videos of you working out, talk about training and nutrition from your experience and from your opinion, and to never have worked with anyone a day in your life outside of your own body, all while claiming to be an expert and taking on unsuspecting clients. Yeah, that's you. I spent a grand majority of my time in my career in the fitness industry working in the trenches in the gym. I started off as a personal trainer back in 1997. And having that experience of working with people hands-on, being forced to have to learn and master what actual program design is, seeing how putting certain programs on clients and training them in certain ways would impact one body from the next, being able to troubleshoot in real time when I had to deal with injuries or sickness, specific goals, training for sports and more, that gave me so much to be able to pull from as someone who is a 100% online coaching practice today. In fact, I started my coaching practice back in 2010. This is a whole decade before the entire industry went online during the pandemic. And I will tell you that the skills that I learned as a personal trainer in the gym were so important and are so important when it comes to how I create programs for clients, how I progress them, how I'm able to cue them and still work with them when they have questions about how to execute their programs in the gym. So in my opinion, when you are working with a coach or you're looking to hire someone, ask them, do you have any experience in personal training, working in the gym with clients? Do you work with anyone now? What's that experience been like for you? You are hiring someone to be an expert and a steward over your body. You have the right to know these things. The second thing I'd say you need to look for when it comes to hiring a contest prep coach is whether or not that person is experienced. And not only are they experienced, how many shows have they done? Have they won any shows? Have they won overalls? And have they placed and won overalls in competitive shows? Nowadays, it's not uncommon for someone to show up and be the only person in that class. So of course they're going to win first place. Of course they're going to win the overall. And that's a whole different ballgame than someone who has actually come up through the trenches, stepped on the national level stage, placed in the top 5 of national qualifiers, won complete shows and competitive lineups, or even if they went from being a pro to an amateur. These things do matter because it gives you as a coach an experience in knowing what it's like to actually go through the trenches as a competitor. It gives you a heart of empathy because you've done that. You've been there. You know what it takes to get to the top. And therefore, it's easier for you to coach your clients to be able to do the same. Now, I do give a little grace to those who are brand new at contest prep coaching. And perhaps they've only done 1 or 2 shows, but they want to be able to work with someone else. This is where being an actual personal trainer comes at your advantage. Because if you are completely new to bodybuilding coaching, what you'll soon find is that it's very different than personal training, but you at least have a foundation, a professional foundation to fall back on. So if any of you are out there looking at someone who doesn't have as much experience in coaching competitors, they might have done just a few shows, but they are a good personal trainer, that is someone that you might want to go ahead and work with. You could be their first success story. I wouldn't be where I am today without my clients who came and worked with me as my first round of competitors. In fact, one client in particular, we were able to get her WBFF Pro card and her IFBB Pro card, and she was one of my first online coaching clients in bodybuilding. But that would not have happened had I not had the experience of years of working with people in the gym already. And as I'd become more seasoned as a competitor, as I had turned pro, as I had competed at the Olympia, it gave me a whole new perspective to be able to work with competitors all across the spectrum. I know what it's like to be an amateur. I know what it's like to compete on the national level, have your ass handed to you, and then come out on top when you turn pro. I know what it's like to do the same thing on the pro level. And I know what it's like to be at the top of the sport at the Olympia. So just that experience and bringing that to my coaching clients is immeasurable. So experience matters. Know how far your coach has gone in the sport. Before I go on to the next tip, if you're someone who is looking to do this contest prep thing the smart and healthy way, make sure that you go ahead and you get on my contest prep crash course. You get on my email list. Go ahead and scan the QR code that you see right there on your screen. If you're looking for a coach who's going to take you under their wing and care about you and this outcome and getting to the stage looking the absolute best possible way you can, I'm actually taking on new clients. So make sure that you scan the QR code that you see on your screen or hit the link down below to schedule your appointment. Let's go ahead and get back into the conversation. Number 3, they have a proven track record of excellence. Now, this comes as a double-edged sword because there are some really successful, really popular coaches who have clients who are some of the top names in the sports, but they aren't the best of coaches. We've all heard about these kinds of folks, and maybe you haven't. Some of them are notorious for pushing drugs on their clients, which we'll talk about in a moment. Some of them give out the same cookie cutter diets to every single client. Some of them are starving their clients to death and just giving them like 200 calories a day to eat. I'm being a little facetious there, but they're doing ridiculous things despite having the experience and having the excellence behind them. So this is where it's going to be important for you to do even further research and perhaps talking with people that they work with, former clients, to see what their experiences were like. Reach out to someone, DM them, ask them, what are the pros and cons of working with this person? I'm considering doing so. But with this sport, sometimes it's going to require for you to hire someone who has that track record of working with some of the top athletes in the sport. Now, when I was competing, I was doing really great coaching myself. And in fact, I worked with another coach at one point to help me get ready for 1 or 2 shows as I was transitioning to the national level. But when I got there and I saw what I would be up against, what I needed to look like in order to earn my pro card, that is the moment that literally at the USA's, after I got off stage, had my butt handed to me in a show that I thought I was going to do really well at, since I did do well the week before or so at Team Universe. I got off the USA stage feeling completely dejected, and in the corner was standing Kim Odo. And I walked right up to him and I said, "Hi, Kim. My name is Roxy, and I'm going to be your newest client." And from that day forward, Kim and I worked together. We got my pro card together. We got to the Olympia together, and it was a harrowing experience. And I did it because I knew that Kim knew what he was doing. Now, Kim and I didn't always see eye to eye when it came to my training and my nutrition, but I would be able to talk to him, and he respected me knowing that I knew my stuff. And we're able to sit and come to an understanding about things that I felt might need to be changed, things that I had to humble myself to just shut up and listen to him and follow what he was telling me to do. But we had a really great partnership that helped me to bring actually this look, where is it? It's on this side, to bring this look to the stage. So knowing when to let go of the reins and working with someone who knows what they're doing is such an important thing. Which leads to the 4th point, working with someone who treats you as a human being. I cannot believe the times I've heard clients tell me how crappy their coaches treated them, how they were talked down to, how if they asked questions, they were berated. This kind of behavior is never acceptable. We are professionals and you are hiring us. And although because we are hired people, we are independent contractors and we have our ways of doing things, many of us are experts in our fields, we have to know when to stop and put our own egos aside in order to work with the person in front of us, to take the time to answer their questions, to take the time to understand their concerns, and to show up as our best. That is part of our job as coaches, as professionals. So never feel like you have to concede those things in order to work with someone. Our fifth tip for today, this person is not forcing you to or insisting that you take steroids, particularly if you are a brand new competitor. Now, here's the thing. No one's ever going to force you to do anything. But sometimes you hear people say certain things like, oh, I was forced to take steroids. No, you made the choice when it was presented to you. So own that. And honestly speaking, a real coach who knows this game, who floats in certain federations, is going to be very honest with you when they know that you reach a threshold. And in order for you to get past that threshold, you might need to consider taking XYZ because this is what everyone else is doing. They shouldn't say you must do it. They say, hey, look, if you want to be able to be successful, then you have to make that decision. But this should not be something that's talked to someone stepping on stage for the first time for the love of everything holy. And that's exactly what's happening out there. If you're a woman who is competing in bikini, wellness, figure, even physique, or bodybuilding for the first time, you've only gotten on stage once, or maybe this is your first time ever, maybe this is going into your third show, you have not maxed out your potential. And you need to keep training, you need to keep eating, you need to keep taking responsible and serious off seasons to build up your body before considering drug usage. This should not be a conversation for you when you're like a few weeks out from your first or second show ever. Now, seasoned competitors moving from the amateur ranks into the national level, or if you're going from the national level, you just earned your pro card and you're going into that pro circle. Now that's a different ballgame. Y'all are going to have a completely and entirely new conversation. And you have to understand that at the end of the day, it's always your choice. If you choose not to do it, that's fine. Just know that you probably won't do as well as those who are, period. Or you have the choice to move to a federation where drug usage is prohibited and actually fully tested. So don't ever let someone insist that this is something you must do. And the moment that you feel like you're being coerced into anything is your time to go ahead, fire that person, walk away, and find someone else. The sixth thing that you should look for is someone who is actually taking the time to personalize your training and your nutrition programming. It's really hard to do a contest prep from a cookie cutter approach. And too many times this is happening. You can't take the same exact formula and put it on somebody else's body and expect to have the same kind of result. It just doesn't work that way. Now, I've been at this game for years, and I have created an entire database of thousands of workouts at this point in my life. And when I'm sitting down and working with a client, I'm going to find out, what are their goals? What are we trying to do? What division are they looking to compete in? What body parts do we need to focus on? What are some areas that we need to bring up? What are some areas we need to minimize or just make sure that we maintain the size on without growing? How is your body fat distributed? How much weight do we potentially need to lose in the time that we have, the 16 to 20 weeks? All of these are going to factor into which workouts I might actually assign to them to do as individuals out of the thousands that I've created. And for each of those programs, they can be tweaked to work for the individual. And trust me, as a coach, this saves a lot of time, because to write a workout from scratch for every single client you work with is a lot. It's so time consuming. So the more you're able to streamline that process while personalizing things for your clients, the better. But the problem becomes when you have someone who just gives the same program to every single client, regardless to who they are or what they do, regardless of thinking about injuries, regardless of thinking about their goals and their specific body type. That's a problem. And those are the kind of things you want to look out for. If you're training in bikini and you have a friend who's working with the same coach and they're training in physique and you guys have the same exact program, there is a problem there, because the needs of a physique competitor is completely different than that of a bikini competitor. So cookie cutter does not work at all. And you want to make sure that your coach is bringing a level of personalization and customization to your program, even if parts of it is pre-designed. Do you have a contest prep coach nightmare? Go ahead and post it down below. What shenanigans have you seen going on when you hired someone? Because, child, there's so many things I hear. Post them down below of what you think future competitors who are hiring coaches need to consider.